Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode here at Florida Aviation Network. I'm Ben Coleman, one of your hosts here at the 43rd Annual Sun and Fun International Convention and Fly-In. We're here at Lakeland and we're here on set in the Florida Aviation Museum here on the campus of the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. And a lot of activity, a lot of things going on here in Lakeland, and particularly during the event, it's just a beehive of activity, and we're so proud to have as many people walking around and hopefully viewing this. Remember, www.floridaaviationnetwork.com. You can see all of these compelling segments that we have, all kind of revolving around safety. Aviation and safety is two terms that you can't separate the two. But there's one term that people sometimes associate with aviation is fun. And our next guest is someone that takes fun to a whole new level, and you get to see him on many different networks and different television stations. But we have with us here today Mr. Mike Kennedy. Mike.
Hey, thank you, Ben.
Welcome to Sun and Fun, and welcome to the Florida Aviation Network. Mike, tell us a little bit because everybody knows about aircraft repo.
Yep.
And you've crawled into your share of foreign cockpits, and the old adrenaline's pumping and the heart is racing, and you've got an entire, you've got volumes of things that you have learned from doing that. How do you guys practice the safety aspect of what you do? I mean, a lot of it's television.
Yeah, you know, that's is an interesting aspect of it, because on television, of course, they always want us sneaking around with somebody chasing us, and that's kind of the big tension builder and all that. But in reality, to people like me in the business, the tension is, I've literally flown hundreds of different kinds of airplanes one time. Mm-hmm. I've gotten to an airplane on a jungle strip down in Colombia somewhere, and I don't even know how to open the door, never seen one before. And I got to just figure out how it works, how to start it and get it out of there. So doing thorough pre-flights and trying to determine if that airplane's really airworthy, and then figuring out how to get it airborne safely. No matter how thoroughly you go through that plane, always at the point of rotation, you're waiting for something to fall off, something to go wrong. No.
Listen for that noise. What was that tink that doesn't sound normal.
My dad used to have a saying for, I grew up in aviation. My dad was a bush pilot in Alaska, and he said, check out a new airplane is, when you jump in, you push all the clean switches forward, you leave the dusty switches alone, you run the power up, hold the yoke back, and when it lifts off, you mark down the airspeed. That's your checkout.
That's as good as the book.
And that's kind of how I do it.
Wow. Mike, how many times, I just got to ask you from a personal experience, that you get caught up into flying a new airplane. You jump in it and you get airborne and everything's cooking real good, and say, oh heck, where am I going?
Well, yeah, a lot of times the primary objective is just getting off the field of where you're at.
Yeah, just get it off of there.
If we just move it to the next field, 20 miles or something, we've accomplished our goal, we've done our job, and we've taken possession of the airplane. But most of my work is international, though. Usually when I'm taking an airplane, I'm going a long ways with it. I'm coming out of Africa or South America. I do stuff down in Argentina. I do a lot of work in Brazil. Bring a lot of airplanes out of Europe. The last several airplanes I've gone after have ironically all been in Germany, all of them. So that makes the planning a lot more critical when you're crossing the North Atlantic in the dead of winter and it's dark and 40 below out.
The thought never crosses your mind about bobbing around with hypothermia about 15 seconds.
That thought crosses my mind all the time.
And how about the folks that try to talk you into putting on the Gumby suit?
You know, that'll prolong your life a little. You'll just die slower.
Yeah, I agree. I did do the North transition one time, and we had all the suits and everything. By the time you got it on, Yeah, what's another 15
Well, the best piece of survival equipment going across the North Atlantic is a pistol. You use that to shoot yourself on the way down, just to
at least one bullet. If there's two of you, two.
Yeah.
Mike, we could talk forever about some of your experiences with aircraft repo, but on a more personal note, what you're doing in Africa. I haven't caught all of what's going on over there, but you guys working to help, I'm going to say help annihilate the poaching industry. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in Africa.
Yeah, that's something really close to our hearts, something we really believe in. I many years ago, before I even was flying for a living, I earned a degree in zoology, and I was a biologist before I was an aviator. And as has been shown on the show, when we're at home, our own personal property is a wildlife sanctuary. We have big cats and crocodiles and venomous snakes and all sorts of things, and most of that is all rescue animals that come from U.S. Customs and U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Florida Fish and Wildlife, the sheriff's departments. When animals they catch people that don't have the proper permits, or it's an escapee, or even like some of our crocodiles are wild crocodiles, but they're sick or injured, and we're one of the very few facilities in the state licensed to go get those crocodiles and rehab them.
Didn't know it.
Yeah, our biggest crocodile is over 1,000 pounds.
That's a big boy or a girl?
Yeah, he's 14 feet long. A big American
Big boy.
crocodile came out of Key Largo several years ago, and nobody even expected him to live, but we were giving him antibiotic injections every other day for 4 months. I was bathing his wounds every day and trying to tube feed him. I mean, and handling a 1,000-pound crocodile like that and giving him injection stuff can be a challenging endeavor, but he's doing great now.
Wow.
But yeah, that's transpired over into it's great to help save individuals, but what we're trying to do in Africa is much grander scale, where we're trying to save an entire species. The elephant and rhino poaching problem out of there is just explosively out of control. It's just outright war. At the rate that rhinos are being killed right now, there won't be one left in the wild by 2025.
Wow.
Just in Kruger National Park alone, where we're working most of the time, there's probably 3 a day taken out of there. And that's despite having 200 rangers on the ground and air patrols, which I'm doing. You got Sands Park, the National Park Service over there, and their A-Star helicopters. They got dog teams. But Kruger's the size of Massachusetts. It's 4 million hectares. It's just such a vast, vast area of land. They can't possibly control it all. I figure there's probably 15 active poacher teams in Kruger at all times, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Mike, and it's I know some of it's about education, but these people that are doing this atrocity, they probably think it's normal, or are they just doing it for money? And they probably don't realize what they're doing to the environment, and probably care less.
Yeah, they don't care. That's the problem. Is the mindset is just absolute no concern for life or cruelty or even long-term effects in species. They just don't care. And what we're trying to do by for one, we're over there flying patrols, helping find these guys, which means a lot to us, but we're also filming while we're doing it, hoping to get a pilot together for a new show on Discovery or Animal Planet or whatever, whoever will pick it up, because the realistic part of it is that fighting these guys at ground level, you're never ever going to change anything.
No.
Rhino horn's one of the most valuable commodities on the planet right now. It's worth more than solid gold, worth more than cocaine. One rhino horn's $150,000.
Oh, I have
and
no
some of
idea.
these guys make $300 a year. So you can shoot 10 poachers today and 12 more tomorrow, pick up their rifles and keep going. You'll never ever change anything. But
It's a war.
But by us bringing our airplane repo fan base over into it, because that show is being shown worldwide, we get this brought into the show, or hopefully a whole new show spun off out of it. But by starting at the other level, public awareness of what's going on and trying to educate people, because the main thing with rhino horn is the demand is so high, but it's all a fallacy. Rhino horn does absolutely nothing.
It's not an aphrodisiac.
Nothing.
Sure, yeah.
It doesn't cure cancer. It's not an aphrodisiac. It doesn't do anything. So where we hope to be able to help change things, even though we realize it's going to be a very slow process, is by educating the masses, not taking out the poachers on the bottom, although they need to be taken out too, but
Yeah.
the effect is so minimal by doing that.
Well, speaking of taking out, friend of mine is checking folks out in the AT-802. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
The big snow? Hard points?
Yeah.
With guns?
Right.
And no one really, well, I'd be careful here. Hit the pickle switch or with a couple 50 millimeters and watching the poachers that are beaten down on a rhino. Is that an opportunity that you would have in this operation, or are you just intel and reconnaissance?
You know, the different countries treat it differently. South Africa is more like our law enforcement would be, where they do their best to capture the guys. For one thing, you need the information. If you just went in there and just wiped them out, you're taking out the poachers, but you really need to get up. It's like drug rings or smuggling rings. You need to get up to the top. So by catching these guys, rather than taking them out, you interrogate them for the information, because you're trying to break up. You've got it's gotten so sophisticated over there because rhino horn's so valuable that the Colombian and Mexican drug cartels are over there setting up the smuggling rings, because they can fund it and they know how to do it.
Wow.
And it's the Chinese mafia and the Vietnamese. Most all this product's all going into Southeast Asia. But shoot, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. But and if the consumer, if people don't buy it, it's like drugs. I mean, if you don't buy the drug, its value and worth goes down to
well,
nothing.
and that's the whole key. Because you were asking about taking out the poachers. They try to catch them, because if you can prosecute them, give them prison terms, and of course that's better than just getting in a firefight with them. But also you're trying to get the information to get up to the top, because until you start doing something about the smuggling rings themselves and what we're trying to do about the awareness to help change the market and change the culture, you're just not going to get anywhere. But trouble is also, years ago, the poachers were mostly just subsistence hunters from nearby villages, just trying to earn some extra money. But because rhino horn and elephant tusks too have become so incredibly valuable, the poacher teams themselves have become more sophisticated. Now it's usually about 5 guys. You got 3 guys that are porters that are just carrying gear and food. You got 1 guy that's carrying a bolt-action rifle, 458 Win Mag with a silencer on it, generally to dispatch the rhinos with, and 1 guy with an AK-47, and he's to shoot the rangers. So the level of aggression back towards those of us that are working has escalated dramatically. Wow. So oftentimes it does end up in a firefight. But the way it's developed, I'm flying little ultralights over there, and I'm looking for poachers, for carcasses, for the animals themselves, because that's one thing that's very valuable too, is when I see rhinos or elephants, I've got an iPad in my lap with an app in it that I just touch an icon of an elephant or a rhino, and it drops a pin on the spot, because I fly right over the top of it, and I also type in the number. There's 4 rhinos, there's 3 rhinos there, whatever. And then when I get back, we fly like 4-hour patrols. When I get back, that goes into a highly encrypted email back to the ranger station. It's got to be very encrypted, because the poachers would absolutely shoot you. They'd cut your throat for that same information. So you don't want to be helping them. But that gives the rangers locations so they can concentrate their efforts where the animals actually are, instead of just wandering around in millions of acres at random. But if we do see something, then we call back to them, and they dispatch commandos and a dog team in helicopters. And they fly out, they drop down, they put high-speed tracking dogs on the trail of the poachers, and they just let the dogs go. And then they take back off in the helicopter, and those dogs just run flat out through the woods at 40 miles an hour. I mean, they're running right through prides of lions and everything. Those dogs are going so fast that and there's no escaping those dogs.
And lions just say, "What was that?"
Yeah, exactly. A street goes by, and
oh well, that's too much work to get. I'm going to go for this.
But they hit the poachers and tree the poachers, and then the helicopters land, the commandos get out, and the battle ensues, and it's actually quite efficient.
Wow.
The dogs are super. The aviation's a super important part, and the dogs are a major part of the team.
Well, your aircraft that you're flying, we're not there yet with the electric motor, but it sure would be nice to be able to sneak up on
quiet.
these areas.
The thing with that is having the not range but endurance. We're not going that far, but we're flying grids for several hours at a time. But it would have something that quiet. And the way technology is advancing, we could get to that point.
Yeah, we're right around the corner, I feel. And get something with a good high aspect ratio where it doesn't take much thrust to keep it going.
Because we're flying very low, very slow. We're treetop level, 200 feet, about 40 knots. Basically, we're trying to emulate what a helicopter does. It's just the little ultralights stuff that we're flying, or we can operate 10 of those for what it costs to operate one helicopter.
Yeah.
We call in the helicopter when we really need it, but the patrols are just flying in the ultralights.
That makes sense. How many times do you know of have you been shot at while you flying around?
Not that I know of, but just last year, one of the guys is a British pilot he was flying a Robinson R-44, and he was out, there was a report of a downed elephant, so he flew out to see that if it was died of natural causes or was poached, and he flew out, did one pass around, it obviously had been poached, and while he was radioing it back in, he didn't realize the poacher was still there. He stepped out of the bushes and shot him right through the bottom of the helicopter and took him out. Helicopter crashed right next to the elephant.
Oh, man.
So it happens. We lose about 12 rangers a year in continent-wide in Africa.
Wow. Not only is it's exciting, but you're serving a very, very valuable purpose by doing that. Mike, I'm going to just kind of go out there, and there's people out there that would love to be doing what you're doing, but they don't know how to do it. And other than just self-education, where do they go if someone has the talent, the time, the finances, the desire?
Yeah.
Because not that there's ever going to be another Mike Kennedy. However,
I just met one yesterday out on
Another
the flight.
Mike?
He walked up to me, introduced himself. I was like, "You got to be kidding me, really?"
did he fly?
Yeah. He didn't look like me at all, but same name.
Well, that's not all bad. You know?
So you're the guy.
Not that he don't look like
Well,
you.
anything I get blamed bad, I just say it was him.
It's the Mike Kennedy. It's the bad Mike Kennedy.
Yep.
But how? I mean, there's somewhere watching this. There's some kids that are wanting to do this.
Yep.
And any guidance before we wind up, because I think you got a time restraint here pretty soon, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we have an organization, we call it raceforrhinos.org. It's our race team where we race at Reno and so forth, but it's race and the number 4 rhinos.org, and we've got videos and just explanation of what we're doing. There's a GoFundMe site on there, all that kind of stuff, but somebody could log on to that, see what we're doing, and they can also, there's email, they could get in contact with us, and if they were truly interested and wanted to help and do something, that's where they should go with it.
Support.
And our property here where we do our wildlife sanctuary is Dragon Ranch, and that's all a 501c3 nonprofit, and most of the funds that we raise, of course, kind of helps feed the animals, but a lot of what we're trying to do goes back over there to help raise funds for equipment and so forth for the rangers on the ground over there. We work with Southern African Wildlife College and Wilderness Conservancy and several of those groups, and we try to help any way we can.
In today's world, I mean, just being able to Google Mike Kennedy Rhino, and it populates, it come right up.
Race for Rhinos, my name, Dragon Ranch, any of that, and it'll come right to me. So if somebody wanted, I'm not hard to track down.
Well, Mike, and we got about 2 more minutes, and then we'll let you go.
Okay.
You got other people to see and things to do, but anything that you would like to leave us with, because this is going out to, oh my goodness. Oh, camera 2, okay. Sorry, Obi. Obi's having a conniption now. But we probably need to wrap up, because we don't want to hold Mike up more than so folks that are listening in the production trailer, out of respect for our guests, let's kind of wrap this up if you would. Usually they're telling me, wrap it up, Dan. And I'll tell them, wrap it up. So this is for Valerie, because we don't want to make Valerie late. See, if Valerie's late, everybody's late.
She's jumping up and down. Am I forgetting something you want me to say? Okay.
There we go. I guess we're done. Over. See you.
Well, this is a pleasure. Really nice talking to you, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, this is not the last time. But one thing that, as I mentioned earlier, this is all about aviation and safety. Make sure that we have another next time to talk to you.
Yep.
Okay, so when you see some bad guys down there doing this,
we're looking at using Kevlar material like bulletproof vests in the hull of the airplanes.
Yeah.
Because we're an easy target as low and slow as we're flying. But
well, and the profile, I mean, they're big lumbering, big pterodactyl up there.
Yeah,
but
we're not exactly a fighter jet. You could hit us with a slingshot.
Well, the way to keep that profile down low is you either fly at them away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully I'll be flying away, unless
Yeah.
you're loaded. If you're hot, I mean,
Yeah,
okay, game
yeah,
on, buddy.
yeah.
Wanna shoot me? Okay. Where are we at with our production? Because I would hate to do a wrap before. No, that's just it. Mike has a place to be, and we're going to be here, and he's offered to come back, so we'll. Yeah, perfect. See, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
But as soon as I see this man here do this with a little finger. Well, no. We're just. Okay, cool. All right, Mike. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. It was a pleasure.
We're going to sign off. Let Mike get to his next engagement. Important man and woman, and we don't want to hold them up.
The driving force back there.
Absolutely. Don't you forget it.
Oh, I know. I don't.
I know. I'm Ben Coleman, your host here for Florida Aviation Network, and we'll see you at the next interview.